Hey guys, welcome. Saturday morning. My name is Ben. I'm here joined with the guys from Meta Money, Brian and Justin. Do they call you J Chains or Justin these days?
It's J Chains. It's both. It
You
depends
tried to
on-
rebrand one time.
to Ruthless J.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people liked it, but here at the office, it didn't quite hit.
No, J Chains is permanent. That's a great nickname. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, look, Metaverse. Today we're going to get into it. Well, not literally, but we're going to discuss some big stuff happening with sports in the Metaverse.
Sports, right? I mean, you're a sports guy. You like sports ball.
I like to play sports more than watch it, so that's why this is going to be interesting because I don't know where this is going to go today because sports in the Metaverse is kind of a weird thing because to me, sports is an experience and it's something you play, but like as technology advances, we're starting to see you like actually be able to do things in the Metaverse as well.
So let's start with this, where you said, like obviously there's some big changes going on now, like with what's going on with the NBA and a lot of other sports are going to do this. They can put you in courtside. So say you're paralyzed, say you're poor, say whatever your situation is, and you can't ever get down to a
Poor
courtside.
people should not be allowed in the Metaverse.
Okay, Anna.
But you get where I'm going with that, right? So it opens up the door to opportunities that people might not have had otherwise.
Yeah, but like, why do people want to sit courtside? Do people want to sit courtside because they are the closest to the court? They have the best view? No, people like to sit courtside because it's seen as like a glamorous thing, the people that are sitting courtside. Really and truly, the seats that are above courtside are wider. It's a better view. You see more of the court. Like we sat courtside at the Hawks Heat game, and Nate McMillan, the coach of the Hawks, was standing in front of me. It was the whole time. Like I could barely even see because I was too close. And I think that's the appeal of the courtside. And so here is where things would really get interesting. Would be kind of like if you would have said 10 years ago, hey, I got this picture of this monkey. Okay, I'll give you this right now. One day it's going to be worth $400,000. Or, like, here's the Mona Lisa, right? Something equivalent that's in that 400. Obviously not the Mona Lisa itself, but here's this incredible artwork that's worth $400,000. Which one would you rather have? People would rather take the artwork, obviously 10 years ago. But now, what would people rather take? Because having an NFT and like having clout in the digital world means something. So when will we see a courtside experience in the Metaverse equal clout? Because that's what people are after with experience.
So basically you're saying, would you rather be next to a digital celebrity or a real life celebrity?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, I think you get a Gen Z. Yeah. A lot of these people don't even know how to have conversations. No offense. I mean, there's plenty of smart Gen Z people that watch this channel, but there's a science to that because of cell phones. They've actually conducted studies that, show that people's ability to communicate in real life is going down significantly because, you're a different person when you communicate digitally with someone than you are in real life.
And in a positive or a negative way. I mean, obviously we know about
It's just different.
There's keyboard cowboys.
Yeah.
There's people that can be themselves. They can be more true to who they are.
Yeah, and I think you really see it with, because I come from the addiction world. I was in charge of recovery of a teenage boys program, and I would see this with a lot when they would be talking to me about their relationships, before they got to the program, and the way that those text communications go back and forth, it's like they are like Superman when they're texting, but they get in real life and they couldn't even talk.
Right.
There have been times where people have met digitally and they get in real life and they have all these conversations texting and they don't even know how to engage each other because they're so dependent on that virtual and digital conversation.
I love where that goes, and maybe down the road of kind of what we do here, we can talk about this because when we were out in California, we asked people about finding love. Is there room for love in the metaverse? And that the whole kind of the summary of our answers, it's the next level of a dating app, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives you the opportunity to go on maybe a couple first dates that maybe aren't going to be as awkward.
You might call it second base.
There you go.
It's the same thing with sports though too. Like, I don't think people are going to replace going to games by going in the metaverse, but they will replace maybe watching it on TV instead watching it in their Oculus and then going to a VR experience. Like it's just an upgrade of what they're already watching, because maybe they can get a different angle or they can walk around the field and see what it looks like. But I still don't think the technology is there for it to be quite accurate, like as much like what's going on like in real time. But it could eventually. We actually went to the Hawks game over, you can check it out on the Meta Money channel, where we wore our VR goggles on the courtside. We looked like idiots. The whole stadium was like, what are these guys doing? But it was a lot of fun, so check that out if you get a chance.
Y'all are way better content creators than me. Like, I would not do the stuff you guys do. Wear an Oculus in public, I would be so embarrassed.
We've done a lot of plays. We have no shame. We're
Y'all
having
no
fun
shame.
with it, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
it was
love that
fun.
about you guys.
It was fun.
Another thing. Okay, so sports in the metaverse. Let's talk about now physical activity. You know, yourself. You were a few weeks ago. You had said that your stepfather, right, got the Oculus so he could do golf training.
Yeah.
You know, we did a little fun thing where we were going to do boxing. You know, there's all sorts of sports that you can do to get yourself active within the VR, AR, you know, whatever metaverse, the Oculus.
We wanted to box each other so bad, and we just could not make it work. So I knocked out a guy online.
But we will revisit this, and we will.
We will.
I'll get my revenge.
I haven't done it yet. Is it like tiring?
Yes.
Oh God, it's so
Yeah.
tiring.
Yeah, it's really tiring. But they're short rounds.
Okay.
So, you know, it's spurts, but yeah, I mean, it's, so this is the interesting thing when it comes to physical activity in the metaverse. Like, it can be just as effective as real life activities because you're burning calories, you're doing cardio. If you're training for a sport, you know, like, you know, even the U.S. Olympic team, they do a lot of their training digitally and virtually because it's easier to mimic, you know, certain tracks or certain stadiums or certain elevations if you're running, whatever the case may be. So, you know, I think really the first true application we're going to see of sports in the metaverse is physical fitness group classes. Like, cause,
Yeah.
I
look,
like that.
okay.
Beach
Correct me if I'm
body
wrong.
kind of stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But if y'all are the kind of guy that I am, you walk into the gym and you see the group class that's the Zumba of everybody dancing, and it looks so cool and you'd love to do it, but you never do it in real life because you'd be so embarrassed that you just want to dance. But virtually, you're in an avatar.
So everyone wants to know right now, do you just want to dance?
Zumba in the metaverse?
Zumba in the metaverse, you know, but there are those group classes at gyms, especially for people that are newer to going to the gym. Like, they're a little intimidating because you're like, I don't want to get in there and act like, see, you know, I don't know what I'm doing or whatever. Same thing Peloton has done for people.
That's revolutionized that whole thing.
Yeah, well, they went a little too hard. Now it's failing. But the idea was right. But I do think Metaverse is a better spot for something like that. But it does take away that intimidation of a group class because you feel like, you know, you're able to be social in a sense, but also stay introverted in a sense with something that you're not comfortable with. And I think that is really, you know, I don't really want to do Zumba, but, you know, there are people that, you know, I know my wife at one time, she kind of wanted to do it. She's like, I don't really know how to do it. And she was intimidated by the group class. And, you know, she did do it. But, you know, that takes that away, that you know, hesitation.
So back to the metaverse, and then we can wrap it up for this week. Sporting events, attending sporting events, doing things like, I think the Everdome is getting ready to have Floyd Mayweather box some guy. And you can, you know, get in there, you can check it out in VR. It's happening somewhere in the UAE. I don't know if it's,
Real boxing?
Real boxing. They're going to,
Did that happen already or no?
I think it's happening in May. So they're actually boxing on top of a building, and it's going to be broadcast.
Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun,
Finish him.
So there's a, and by the way, we have a video that came out this morning on the Meta Money channel about Fame MMA. It's a token, and they really kind of bring a lot of pay-per-view events to the metaverse and space. It's like, hey, if you and I wanted to box some people in the
Oh,
crypto
it's like
world,
famous people.
yeah, they can set that kind of thing up. It becomes a pay-per-view event. So do you think that that's got legs to run within the metaverse?
Yeah, I would say so, because if you really think about when it comes to pay-per-view events and boxing, specifically boxing, I feel like UFC is so oversaturated. I feel like there's so many UFC events. I don't even watch UFC really anymore because it's just like there's so, every week there's, you know, you got to know 7 billion different fighters. With boxing, there's only a few big names. You know, there's probably 10 names that might draw people at this point. And so the draw is the people, are the fighters. And so anything that gets behind that in a way that's pay-per-view or event driven, they're going to be able to pull people in there. And so I do think that's a great way to do it, especially as more people are cutting the cable and you're having to already figure out different ways to kind of watch some of this stuff. I think that definitely does have some potential there. And, you know, maybe it can bring back boxing. I like boxing so much more than UFC.
Yeah. So if you had to, last question and then we're done. If you had to box someone from the crypto ecosystem in a pay-per-view match, who are you going to fight? And you could say me if you don't want to like cause beef.
If I don't want to, yeah.
I could pick a couple names for you.
Yeah.
But I don't want to cause beef.
The number one name I'm not allowed to mention on the channel legally. But I would say, look, I've said Crypto Crow before because I think, you know, he's 7 feet tall. Like, I win either way there because if I lose, okay, I got beat up by a 7 foot tall guy.
If you win, you beat up a 7 foot tall guy.
I beat up a 7 feet tall guy, you know. So that's a good option.
He actually asked the other day on Twitter, hey, who should I step into the ring with from crypto?
Yeah, I would like to go toe to toe with Elon Musk. Yeah, I think that would be cool. I'd like to do that. I think I could.
I think he would mop the floor.
I think I would destroy him, but he wouldn't do that. Richard Hart. Look.
Come on, man. I
don't dislike Richard. I like Richard. You know, so I'm not saying I'd want to fight him.
But that would be a really good celebrity.
It would be.
Boxing
Could
match.
you imagine the?
Oh my God, that would sell.
He's got a cape on. You know,
yes.
He's probably wearing a masquerade mask.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. If that fight was set up and I was in the building, like during his walk-in, I would go clobber him.
Oh God.
When we did Beers and Bitcoins, man, he said some stupid things to me, and I just held it against him ever since.
Yeah, I see.
I don't like the guy. Richard, I'm coming for you, man.
Well,
the fight would be over before it started.
yeah, that'd be real sad. I really look forward to doing that.
That would be good though. But
Yeah.
anyways, on that note, let's close it out. Guys, we talk about Metaverse every single day over on the Meta Money channel. Check that out, and we'll see you next time.